Have you ever seen a block of cheese? A real block of cheese? An honest-to-God block of cheese? The pursuit of happiness began in 1908. The birth of Abraham Harold Maslow. He came to be a fellow that believed strongly in pyramid power. He helped people to focus the mind. Along with the invention of compact cassette format, he began teaching people how to program their mind with a set of 5 rigid beliefs, all focused on construction principles that he had learned as a boy from building model airplanes out of balsa wood. Number 1, glue. One needs glue in one's life, and to this he meant pleasure, tasty foods, warm baths, etc. Number 2, one needs balsa wood in one's wife. Now, your wife must be made of balsa wood. Your life must be made of balsa wood. Factor 2 of the internal pyramid, and this is something you can imagine with me right above your pituitary gland. Just think of a little pyramid. If the bank down the street from you were to hand out a pyramid with the opening of a $5,000 bank account, you might imagine that it would be about 3 inches tall and about 3 inches wide. And this pyramid would be made out of brass. There would just faintly be the faintest hint of brick inlay into it, where it had been formed in such a way by a mold to inlay a pattern of bricks on it. But this would have heavy substance to it. You would use it to hold papers down on your desk. And this is something that you need to imagine very concisely being inside your head, right where the reptile brain sits, the functionality that makes you feel stronger when you ride in an SUV versus an automobile, because you're higher. The foes around you, all the negative energy in the world is lower, and it gives you a feeling of being higher in the pack, higher on the chain of food. This is a pyramidal shape in your pituitary gland, directly above, center of your brain. You can almost imagine your blood would have to flow around the thing, and perhaps cooling it in some way. So, his second rule for the pyramid power was that your life should be made out of balsa wood. Now, by balsa wood, he means engagement. Sometimes this is called flow, the absorption of being totally into a challenge or some activity. You're in the flow when you just lose track of time because you're engaged in your own personal balsa wood. Now, the third part of Maslow's pyramid inside your brain is rice paper. And by rice paper, he means relationships. These are social ties with family and friends, people that you could depend on. They're a real indicator of happiness, and they are the rice paper of your life. The fourth part of the pyramid inside your head, according to Maslow, who was master of the compact cassette format, was a mainspring. Now, a mainspring, when it comes to balsa wood airplanes, is used to slowly wind and store energy so it can be delivered through the artifice at the front. This mainspring could be a rubber band for you, but it could also, in Maslow's statements, mean meaning. A perceived quest or belonging to something bigger. This is your rubber band, and it is meaning. Now, you may have guessed already that the fifth part would be your propeller, and this is your accomplishments. Having realized real, tangible goals. This is something that will go to the front of your airplane. You will use to wind the meaning up and over in a circular pattern. The meaning will unwind through your accomplishments, the propeller of your life. It will push air over your body, your rice paper, the relationships of your life will flow underneath you. You will be lost in your activities as the frame of your construction, your engagement, or your balsa wood. And also your pleasure, the very pleasure of life through tasty food and warm baths will come to you like a glue, like a manna. If you were a mosquito and you were sipping the glue, you would be drinking the lifeblood. To give you a better insight into what makes happiness, you have to imagine a car. And this car is red, but inside of it is bowling pins from an old 1950s retro-looking bowling alley. Now, this is the two parts of your mind. The red car, which is you, and the bowling pins from the old retro bowling alley. That's also you. So let's set you in a chair and show you a picture, and I'll make some strange hand gestures on the wall with my left hand. So I'm going to ask you to explain this. Here's what you said.
I have no idea why my hand is pointing to a shovel. It must be something you showed to my right brain. Maybe the left hemisphere made up some plausible story. Oh, wait, that's easy. The chicken claw, it goes with the chicken. You need a shovel to clean out the chicken shed.
So you're making no sense here. This is the red car doing something that we call confabulation. It's very frequent with split brain patients. Have you ever heard, friends, of a condition called alien hand syndrome? Usually in this case, the alien hand might pick up a ringing phone but then refuse to pass the phone to the other hand or even bring it to an ear. The hand totally rejects the choice the person has just made. Maybe putting back on a rack a shirt that the other hand had just picked out. It might grab the wrist of the other hand and try to stop it from executing a person's conscious plans. Sometimes the alien hand actually reaches for the person's own neck and tries to strangle them. This is the retro bowling pins that you find in your own back seat. So if you think about your glue and your propeller, your balsa wood wife, now think about what your invisible alien hand is doing to your rice paper. You're starting to see the happiness quotient. So as our brains began to grow in size and diversify, 5 million years ago, we had a thought, and that thought was Latin. We had invented Latin for singing purposes. It's the birth to many movements, including the falsetto movement. One of the movements, 10 million years ago, was the neocortex, and this is Latin for new covering. The strange thing is that it happened before Latin. This is part of Gödel's theory. Let's think about Plato's. It's Paul's spirit. It's taken over control. Now, Plato's bad horse, St. Paul's flesh, we can call a Promethean script of human evolution. He stole fire. Gods gave it right to them, passed on through to the humans. In Latin, no less. The Promethean script is pleasing. It raises us all above the other animals, justifies our superiority. Our rationality is the key. But what happens if your red car with your retro bowling pins gets into a wreck? Perhaps you have come face to face with the balsa wood wall of insanity. This is when people suffer brain damage. The other day there was a weird man behind my bank. He pulled a gun on me and asked me if he could have some money. I told him no. He then said I'd answered correctly, and he offered to tell me the secret to happiness. He said the secret to happiness lay in 5 simple things. Oh my God, that was noisy. Sorry about that. The secret to happiness was 5 simple things that you could do every day. Number 1, eat candy every day. Number 2, learn to breathe deeply. You must look at an infant baby when it breathes, and you'll notice its stomach gets larger and smaller. It's because it's using its diaphragm. Shallow breathing is the number 1 cause of unhappiness. You will feel better if you will fill your body with oxygen. And the only way to do this is to breathe deeply. You must expand your belly. It can be painful sometimes. Think if you're doing it right or not. You can question your own sanity as you're sitting there trying to breathe. But you'll know you're doing it when you take in as large of a breath as you can. Just keep sucking the air in. Just keep sucking and sucking the air. Just more and more and more. You'll force yourself to use your diaphragm, and you will breathe deeply, and you will be happy, and you will